they call it God. But not in any form we ever imagined. It emerged from the void, not bearing hope, but terrifying awe. Amidst the white sands and a distorted sky, a human stand, frozen in wonder. Its form defies language, defies logic. And in that moment, one truth becomes clear: God has arrived, and it is beautiful in the most horrifying way. With a single gentle motion, it opened its hand. And from the space between its fingers, something unnamed began to emerge. It did not create the way humans create. It channeled something that existed long before words were born. 30 years ago, the world witnessed the unimaginable. A massive, unidentified creature emerged from the Sea of Okhotsk. Not a legend, not an illusion, but a reality that changed the course of human history. 10 years later, Japan's northern regions, Hokkaido and Tohoku, were officially declared danger zones. Cities crumbled. Life abandoned. All that remained was silence and ruins left by the unstoppable. Ancient structures were overtaken by new, alien forms. No one knew if they were alive or merely growing. God had arrived, in a form we were never meant to understand. 5 years since the convergence began in Japan. 6 invasions have been confirmed. No warning. No pattern. Only destruction, descending as swiftly as the shadow of a claw. This is a danger zone. Please evacuate immediately. The announcement echoed across the nation, but everyone knew it always came too late. It didn't save lives, it simply marked the end. Last year, Saitama Prefecture officially became a danger zone. The government still has no answer. And the world asks, is this the end of times, or the beginning of something even greater? March 3, 2021. Itabashi Ward, Tokyo Prefecture. Behind the global devastation, life goes on, or at least pretends to. Empty streets. Crumbling walls. And a cough, soft, yet haunting, reminding us that the invasion didn't just change the cities, it changed the bodies living within them. Tokinaga grips the rope tightly, ready to descend the fence. A voice warns him, this could be dangerous. But Tokinaga is certain. That girl is different. Not like the desperate ones who come here to end their lives. He can sense it. Calmly, he responds, he'll listen once he helps her. A quiet resolve that may change everything. As the girl kept staring into the danger zone, Tokinaga acted without hesitation. With a swift strike, he knocked her back from the fence. Look away from the god, he shouted. To Tokinaga, it wasn't violence, it was a warning. Staring too long at God can cost more than sanity. The girl was stunned, unaware how close she came to destruction. Tokinaga pulls the girl away from the fence, saving her from the danger zone. She shouts, "Wait!" shocked by his sudden move. But Tokinaga firmly warns her, giant creatures called gods dwell in that zone. To look at them could mean death. He then reveals the truth, he's not just anyone, but a researcher who came to study these so-called gods. Tokinaga shows his research a license to prove he isn't suspicious. His name is Tokinaga Sochiyuki. The girl introduces herself as Kamikura Waka. When Tokinaga asks what she's doing there, Waka explains she came from Saga to meet a friend and is currently looking for a place to stay in Tokyo, though finding housing in the city isn't easy. Tokinaga warns that they're standing right in front of the danger zone. Only those who are desperate or have special government permission can live here. He urges Waka to return to Saga and wear a full face mask. Waka is confused, thinking she's already wearing one, but Tokinaga insists it's not safe enough, given how close they are to real danger. Waka panics when she realizes her hat got stuck inside a strange animal-shaped helmet that suddenly covers her face. Tokinaga quickly warns her, if someone looks into the eyes of a creature known as a god, their body can freeze up. If they inhale through their mouth, their body may turn to water. That's why it's crucial to cover both eyes and mouth. The animal-shaped helmet is a special full-face mask, one that even the gods cannot break. Waka jokes around with the high-pitched voice from the animal-shaped helmet, but Tokinaga warns her seriously. He advises her to keep wearing it since it offers good protection while she's near the danger zone. Tokinaga explains that if her friend approaches a god, they will die. The creature known as God is like a natural disaster, one that can't be harmed even by bullets, missiles, or bombs. Still wearing the skull-shaped helmet, Waka calmly responds to Tokinaga's warning. Even though Tokinaga insists that anyone who approaches a god will die, Waka says it's fine. She states she's just looking for her friend and tells Tokinaga to mind his own business. Tokinaga is clearly surprised by her calm attitude. Someone watches from afar and notices a strange smell. Waka also comments that Tokinaga seems suspicious, saying he's had that strange scent since they first met. But before they can react further, a massive explosion suddenly hits the ground near them, shocking both Waka and Tokinaga into alertness. An eccentric girl suddenly drops from the sky and lands with force, shocking everyone. She immediately greets Waka with a "sorry I made you wait," revealing they are friends. However, she quickly mocks Waka's horned helmet, calling it weird. Tokinaga watches her cautiously, while the girl casually approaches them and questions Tokinaga's identity, stating that falling from the sky definitely isn't normal. Waka is suddenly approached by her newly arrived friend. Whispering into Waka's ear, the girl says, "Pretend to be my friend. You want to meet a god, right? I'll help you." She then hugs Waka, calling themselves cosplay friends. Watching from a distance, Tokinaga looks unsure and wonders if this girl is truly Waka's friend. While walking away, Waka threatens Tokinaga, "I'll call the police if you follow us. See you later, playboy." Tokinaga is left standing in silence. Waka's new companion cheerfully introduces herself, "I'm called Uzuki." When she asked about Waka's name, she replies, "I'm Waka." Uzuki guesses, "You couldn't enter the danger zone, right? Since fences are everywhere now." Uzuki thought that she had seen a man approaching a woman who wanted to commit suicide. Uzuki explains that not all gods kill, some choose people instead. Waka listens quietly, processing what she just heard. Uzuki explains that she once met a strange woman who led her to a god, one of the mysterious beings feared by everyone. She even became a subordinate. Now, she's trying to call her friends the same way. But there are very few people who become subordinates of gods. Even in Tokyo, the population has dropped drastically. Pointing at someone sitting alone beneath the overpass, Uzuki says, "That person's been there forever. Maybe he's homeless." Uzuki spots a man sitting alone in the grass. Every time she tries to approach, he runs off. Annoyed, she grumbles to herself, blaming silly things like her blonde hair. She watches him act strangely and randomly guesses that maybe his organs are falling out. Still overly dramatic, she complains about how Tokyo has no hospitals or medicine, like he's going to just die there. Uzuki regained her composure after her earlier outburst. Calmly and confidently, she walked along the edge of the bridge, continuing her explanation to Waka. She told her that although a being known as God had taken away half of Japan, its homes, jobs, and people, the number of those who stood on God's side was steadily growing. Uzuki admitted she had joined them, fully aware that this made her seem like an enemy of mankind. But to her, God wasn't as terrifying as everyone claimed. She assured Waka that it would all make sense once she saw them with her own eyes. Uzuki stood at the edge of the bridge and asked if Waka wanted to become her comrade. She explained that the rumors about the beings called God, which had spread online, were true. Waka listened calmly, then stated that she would join. Uzuki and Waka observed Tokinaga from atop the bridge. Judging by his suspicious yet composed demeanor, Uzuki assumes Tokinaga is a researcher. Meanwhile, Tokinaga inspects the impact mark on the ground, estimating body weight from the damage left behind. He also notices that the helmet worn by Waka is equipped with a GPS tracker and decides to retrieve it later. Despite the shifting situation around him, Tokinaga remains focused on his analysis. Tokinaga was kneeling, inspecting something on the ground. At that moment, a loud explosion shook the area. In an instant, Uzuki leapt down from above and struck Tokinaga with force, slamming him to the ground. Uzuki stood triumphantly, her foot still pressing down on Tokinaga's body, sprawled beneath her. With elegant yet intimidating motions, she lifted the weapon she had just taken, a large rifle with 2 barrels. Black smoke coiled around her, framing her in a haunting silhouette as she examined the gun with a mix of curiosity and admiration. Tokinaga was stunned as he realized the woman who attacked him was someone he had seen before. His eyes widened in shock when he saw Uzuki standing above him and now with 4 arms. Calmly yet menacingly, Uzuki explained that she had received a fraction of power from God. The gods who don't kill people, she said, bestow a bit of their power to their favorite children. She had wanted to be strong, and now she was towering above Tokinaga with unnatural strength, pinning him down with his own weapon. While Tokinaga remains pinned down, he slowly realizes that Uzuki's body has grown taller, by about 30 centimeters, since their last encounter. Just then, Waka appears beside them. Calmly, Waka apologizes to Tokinaga. Meanwhile, Uzuki asks if Waka heard another voice besides theirs. Waka replies that he saw someone running away in another direction. Uzuki leans forward with a cheerful expression, giving Waka a challenge. Calling it enrollment test number 1, she orders Waka to kill Tokinaga. Casually but chillingly, she explains that researchers like Tokinaga are studying ways to kill the gods. In their group, anyone who kills the enemies of the gods is recognized as a comrade. Waka admits the truth to Tokinaga, she lied about Uzuki being her friend. Tokinaga listens silently. Waka confesses that she came here because she wants to meet a god. Even after Tokinaga warns her that doing so could mean her death, she remains determined. If she passes Uzuki's test, she will be allowed to meet a god. The person holding him met God, but she did not die. Then Tokinaga asked about the purpose of Waka's arrival. Waka seems pissed. Waka pulls a string from Tokinaga's eye patch, revealing that something had been hidden all along. She notes that a lie made on the spot often stems from a grain of truth. Using the very string that had been concealed beneath Tokinaga's eye patch, she makes her intentions clear. Surrounded by ominous forms, she warns Tokinaga, if necessary, she will not hesitate to strangle him to death. Tokinaga is startled when Waka calls his name. In the next moment, he's forced to the ground. Waka presses his head down, keeping him from resisting. With the string still in her grasp, she's ready to end things swiftly. Tokinaga's eyes tense, caught between surrender and alertness. With swift motion, Waka leaps directly toward Uzuki. Her target isn't Tokinaga, but the masked woman. Uzuki, standing near the fence, stares ahead, unaware of the danger approaching. A rope is ready in Waka's hand, and on her face, there's no sign of hesitation as she closes in with clear intent. Waka launches her attack. With swift movement, she brings Uzuki down to the ground. Uzuki falls and tries to brace against the impact. Waka immediately wraps a rope around Uzuki's neck. Uzuki attempts to break free using her additional arm. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out. Tokinaga points his rifle and fires toward Uzuki. The loud blast echoes, catching everyone off guard. Uzuki crashes to the ground after being shot. Tokinaga approaches, but Waka rises slowly, showing she can still stand. In rage, Uzuki accuses them of being in cahoots. Yet, Waka firmly declares that she came of her own will. None of this was Tokinaga's doing, this was her choice alone. Waka stands while enduring the pain. She calls Uzuki a murderer and questions who would ever help someone like her. She then admits that she initially planned to join only to kill the creature known as God. But now, she has decided to change her plan. She declares that she will torture Uzuki and force her to reveal the creature's location. Uzuki is shocked to hear Waka's threat of torture. She questions how someone who claims not to be evil could say such a thing. Waka then repeats that she will change her strategy. With an intense expression, she declares that she will torture and kill Waka. Meanwhile, Tokinaga, watching the scene, reloads his weapon with a displeased look. Uzuki leaps toward Waka with full force. All 4 of her arms strike simultaneously, landing a powerful blow on the headgear worn by Waka. Uzuki nearly shatters Waka's headgear. But the attack is quickly countered. Waka responds by smashing her head against Uzuki's. The headgear breaks from the impact, injuring Uzuki's face. Waka launched a counterattack by smashing her head into Uzuki's, but it had little effect. Uzuki remained steady, with only a minor wound on her face. With a mocking expression, she grabbed Waka and pulled her forward as a human shield. From a distance, Tokinaga took aim, but Uzuki gave a warning: if he shot now, Waka might be the one to take the hit. Uzuki observes the ruined park around her. Steel drums are scattered, and playground equipment appears to be melting, as if something unnatural had occurred. She pulls out a sharp metal rod from the rubble, calling it cool, like a weapon. As she looks around, she realizes that not only the drums, but also Waka's body and even her own are beginning to melt. She murmurs that perhaps Tokyo isn't entirely abandoned. But from a distance, Tokinaga shouts loudly, commanding Uzuki to stop immediately. Tokinaga desperately tried to stop Uzuki, who was still holding on to Waka. He shouted, offering himself instead, insisting he was just a researcher and, if someone had to be killed, it should be him. He pleaded, reminding Uzuki that Waka was just a child and had already suffered enough. But Uzuki responded casually, as if she had only just realized she had gone too far. She apologized, claiming her anger made her forget what she was supposed to do. Still gripping Waka, Uzuki mocked Tokinaga, asking whether she should release this little girl for the sake of the noble old man. Uzuki, without a hint of hesitation, thrust the metal spear straight into Waka's head. The strike was swift and forceful, piercing through the helmet and bringing Waka to an abrupt stop. Tokinaga's eyes widened in utter shock as he watched the brutal scene unfold before him. Uzuki stood with her back to Waka's lifeless body, the makeshift spear still embedded in the girl's skull. From a distance, she stared at Tokinaga with cold judgment. To her, everything about the old man seemed slow: his movements, his thoughts, his hesitation. Tokinaga remained frozen, overwhelmed by shock and regret, realizing that even with the killer in plain sight, he had failed to protect the girl. Uzuki walked away, glancing one last time at the fallen body. A faint, twisted sense passed through her mind, that everyone around her, including those now caught in this mess, were just a bunch of fools. She wondered, if things had been different, maybe they could have been friends. Uzuki stood in front of the swings, watching Waka's body with a spear still stuck in her head. After a moment, Waka started to move. Blood ran down her face, but she slowly stood up, still gripping the weapon. Her expression was blank, but she remained standing, as if something inside her hadn't ended yet. Uzuki was shocked to see that Waka was still alive. Waka slowly stood, still gripping the spear that had pierced her head. Calmly, she began to explain something. She said someone had died because of God, and that even if the world called it suicide, she couldn't forgive that being. Her helmet finally shattered, revealing her injured but resolute face. To Waka, this was something far beyond an ordinary death. In the middle of winter's chill, two high school girls enjoy the warmth of Odin in front of a convenience store. Their closeness is clear: they share laughter, food, and future dreams. One of them, Waka, smiles as she's fed, while her best friend cheerfully talks about summer plans. They imagine their final summer as high schoolers, going to Okinawa, watching fireworks, and enjoying time together. It's a light, hopeful moment, a sweet memory that sharply contrasts with the harsh reality they now face. In that memory, Waka's friend spoke about wanting to go abroad. But she hesitated, burdened by the responsibility of caring for her grandparents. She feared that if anything happened while her mother was away, the blame would fall on her. Waka, listening silently, clenched her fist in anger. Then, with firm resolve, she told her friend not to return to a home that made her suffer that way. In a flashback, Waka tries to cheer up her friend, Shun, who is feeling pressured by her family. She invites Shun to graduate together and run away to a place where her family can't reach them. They laugh and run in front of a convenience store, enjoying a small moment of freedom. But behind the smile, Shun still has doubts. She wonders if she can still have fun, even if she's called a murderer. In the classroom, a few students gossip about how God is said to be a stunningly beautiful woman, beautiful enough to be compared to a famous actress like Hirose Arisu. They claim her beauty is on a level they've never seen before. Online, internet users are discussing an interview with survivors. The survivors claim they had never felt happier in their lives until they saw God. Some comments question just how beautiful she truly is. At the end, a quiet thought arises: wouldn't it be nice if those about to die could feel happy, even just for a moment, before their final breath? Despite the barbed wire fence and numerous warning signs, Shion keeps moving forward. Signs reading "Keep out" and symbols of danger hang ominously, warning anyone to stay away. But she shows no hesitation. Slipping through the rusted bars, her small frame enters the restricted zone, a place forbidden by both law and reason. Every step she takes marks a decision that cannot be undone. Since that day, Shion was never seen again. Messages from her close friend, Waka, kept coming, unanswered and growing more desperate. Concern slowly turned into fear. At the same time, the news reported a rise in disappearances within danger zones. It was no longer just suicide; violent crimes like kidnapping and murder were also on the rise, prompting stricter police surveillance. That morning, a surveillance camera in Tokyo's Itabashi ward recorded a girl in a school uniform slipping through a broken fence into the restricted zone. Her identity was never officially confirmed, but to Waka, that face was unmistakable. While Waka scrolls through social media on her phone, a trending hashtag discusses a girl in a school uniform seen on TV. People speculate she's from their school. Waka's father, watching the news broadcast, suddenly reacts, recognizing the girl and calling out Shion's name. The TV shows the police releasing the footage to ask the public for information, as the girl's whereabouts remain unknown. Waka begins to realize how media and those around her shape the perception of God. The TV, the internet, even their classmates claimed that dying at the hands of God wasn't painful. They said God was so beautiful that just looking at her would make you happy. Her best friend believed in that. And that's why her best friend died. Waka stands in the darkness, engulfed by shadows that twist from her memories and rage. She remembers clearly, her best friend died because God made death look beautiful. That's what everyone believed. But to Waka, it was a lie that stole the life of someone dear to her. With a burning heart, she makes a vow she will never forgive God. Waka's anger continues to surge. In her mind, everything happened because of lies spread online about God bringing happiness at the end of life. She blames those who believed it. To Waka, Shion could have been saved if only she hadn't been swayed. Now, with eyes filled with vengeance, Waka refuses to forgive anyone who believes in God. For her, this is no longer about faith, it's about avenging what was lost. Waka stares directly at Uzuki, her fingers gently but firmly gripping Uzuki's face. From her hand, dark tendrils resembling branches or roots begin to spread, manifestations of the burning rage or inner power coursing through her. With a voice that carries weight, Waka asks, not as a request, but as a challenge, if Uzuki can see her eyes. Not just the surface, but the pain, resolve, and fury burning within them. Waka looks at Uzuki in silence. A glowing triangle appears in her eye. Uzuki says nothing, frozen as she sees it. Waka steps forward and hugs Uzuki. She says she has been waiting for someone to break the mask, but in the end, she couldn't do it herself. Waka pulls out a knife from inside her jacket. Uzuki stays silent, still staring at Waka's eyes. In an instant, Uzuki's extra arm is severed. Waka then points the knife toward Uzuki's tongue. Waka pressed the knife against Uzuki's tongue. Behind her, the same words kept echoing in Uzuki's mind, "I don't want anything." But Waka remained calm. Deep down, she felt at peace. She said she would stab every part of Uzuki's body, sparing only what was needed to walk and speak. She wanted Uzuki to feel everything, slowly, before finally dying. There was no fear in her. She was no longer afraid of anything. With her other hand, Waka held Uzuki's face. She spoke softly. Once Uzuki regained her senses, she and her comrades would remember all of this. Their fear, and how they once bowed down. Wounds, Waka said, were better. Because wounds stayed. Uzuki could only whisper, but why? Waka replied with a smile. As long as she kept her eyes on Uzuki, the pain wouldn't come. But the moment she looked away, everything would return. Tokinaga holds Waka back tightly from behind, stopping her sudden movement. Uzuki is frozen in shock, her expression filled with confusion and disbelief. In front of them, Waka stands with her mask removed, revealing eyes that radiate an unnatural and overwhelming force. Tokinaga, who sees her uncovered face, is struck speechless, as if something beyond understanding has paralyzed him. Amidst the tangled atmosphere and rising tension, one question echoes: why is something that resembles God's power now manifesting through Waka? Uzuki sat collapsed on the ground, blood trailing from her mouth. Her body was weak, but her gaze stayed fixed. A question slowly surfaced in her mind: why do that girl's eyes look so familiar? Why do her eyes look exactly like God's eyes?